The alley reeked of damp concrete and rust, its shadows swallowing the faint glow of a flickering street lamp. Wen Shuyu stood frozen at its mouth, my heart pounding as if it were trying to escape my chest. The muffled groans of Ethan Pierce, heir to the Pierce family's sprawling real estate empire, echoed from the darkness. His voice, raw with defiance, cut through the night. "Logan, I know it's you," he growled, his words slurred by pain. "You think you can hide just because you're the bastard son?" A dull thud followed a fist meeting flesh, and I flinched my breath, catching. This was the moment. The moment that had defined my past life, where I'd thrown myself into the fray, shielding Ethan from his half-brother Logan's wrath. I'd paid dearly for it, severed tendons in my hands, deafness in one ear, and a decade of devotion that ended in betrayal. But tonight something was different. Like a heartbeat from the universe itself, a surge of energy had jolted me awake hours earlier, my mind flooded with memories of a life already lived. I was reborn, thrust back to this pivotal night, gifted a second chance to rewrite my fate. The sensation was no accident. It felt like a cosmic reckoning, a force granting me the power to choose differently. In my past life, I'd been the fool who loved Ethan Pierce with every fiber of my being. As the daughter of a martial arts master, I'd been trained to protect, to act without hesitation. When Logan's men ambushed Ethan in this very alley, I rushed in my body a shield against their knives. The cost was my hands, my hearing, my future. The Pierce family, grateful for saving their golden son, poured money into my family's martial arts school, transforming it into a nationwide empire. Ethan married me, tended to my disabilities with a tenderness I mistook for love. For 10 years, I believed we were building a life together until he revealed his true heart, shoving me off a cliff with a sneer, his lips brushing a photo of his first love, Emily Tang. Standing at the alley's edge, I saw it all. Ethan's love had been a lie, his family's gratitude a facade to mask their crimes. The Pierce empire wasn't built on savvy real estate deals alone. It thrived on extortion, bribery, and whispers of murder. I'd been their pawn, a tool to secure Ethan's survival, only to be discarded when I became a liability. This time, I wouldn't play their game. I slipped my headphones over my ears, the soft hum of music drowning out Ethan's cries. My fingers trembled, but my resolve held firm. Let Logan have his vengeance, I thought. Let Ethan face the consequences of his family's sins. I turned away, my sneakers silent against the pavement, and walked into the night. Each step felt like shedding a chain, a declaration of freedom from the man who'd destroyed me. Behind me, the alley erupted in chaos. Logan's men stuffed Ethan into a burlap sack, their blows relentless. "You'll pay for this!" Logan Ethan roared, his voice breaking. I didn't look back. I knew the outcome. Ethan would survive, but not unscathed. His left leg would shatter, his right eye would go blind, and the Pierce family would scramble to cover it up. But this time I wouldn't be the one to save him. Instead, I pulled a stranger's phone from my pocket, a burner I'd bought hours earlier, a precaution born of my reborn clarity. My fingers flew across the screen, typing a message to Emily Tang, the woman Ethan loved more than life itself. Ethan's being beaten across from the Science Museum. Save him or he dies. I sent it, blocked the number, and tossed the phone into a nearby trash can. Emily, I knew, would act. She always did when it came to Ethan. I'd seen it in my past life, her fierce loyalty, her willingness to risk everything. There was something else, too, a flicker of connection between her and Logan, a shared glance I'd once dismissed. Now it nagged at me, a clue to a deeper game I hadn't yet unraveled. I kept walking, and my destination was clear, the airport. I'd already changed my name, my passport a fresh slate under an alias Li Mei, a nobody with no ties to Wen Shuyu. My bags were packed and my visa was secured. Overseas, I'd vanish free from Ethan's control and the Pierce family's shadow. The city blurred around me, its neon lights contrasting with the darkness I was leaving behind. I didn't know what awaited me, but I knew one thing: this life would be mine. As I reached the main road, a siren wailed in the distance. Emily must have arrived, I thought, her presence enough to scatter Logan's men. She'd save Ethan just as I had in another life, but she'd pay a price, her hearing perhaps, or something more profound. I didn't care. Let them tangle in their web of love and betrayal. I was done being their sacrifice. The night air was cool against my skin, a reminder of the freedom I'd claimed. The cosmic pulse that had reborn me thrummed faintly in my chest, a promise that I'd write my ending this time. Ethan Pierce would never touch me again. And the Pierce family, they'd face their reckoning, whether by Logan's hand or the truth I'd one day wield. For now I was a ghost slipping away to a new dawn. Memories of my past life clung to me like damp silk, vivid and suffocating. Wen Shuyu had been a fool for Ethan Pierce, the golden heir of the Pierce family's empire. As the daughter of a martial arts master, I grew up with discipline etched into my bones, my hands trained to strike with precision, my instincts honed to protect. When Ethan first stepped into my father's dojo at 16, his easy smile and quiet confidence stole my breath. He sparred with me, his movements clumsy but earnest, and when bullies cornered me after class, he'd step in, fists raised, unafraid. Those moments bound my heart to his, a tether I couldn't break. Years later, that bond led me to the alley where Logan, Ethan's illegitimate half-brother, ambushed him. I can still feel the cold bite of the knife as I threw myself between Ethan and Logan's men. Once deft enough to disarm a sparring partner in seconds, my hands were ruined tendons, severed fingers useless. A blade grazed my ear and the world went silent on one side, my hearing stolen. Blood soaked my clothes as I shielded Ethan, his trembling form pressed against mine. Logan's men fled when sirens wailed, leaving us broken but alive. The Pierce family pillars of the city's real estate empire descended with gratitude that felt like a tidal wave. Their wealth, I later learned, was tainted, built on rigged property auctions, bribed officials, and whispered threats to silence rivals. They poured millions into my family's martial arts school, transforming it from a modest dojo into a nationwide chain. My father's dream flourished, his classes packed with students, his name on billboards. I thought it was a fair trade for my sacrifice, a reward for saving their son. They called me a hero, and I believed them. Ethan married me a year later, his vows soft and earnest in a sunlit garden. My hands, scarred and weak, could barely hold the bouquet, but he guided them gently, his touch a promise. As my condition worsened, deafness spreading my legs, faltering until I needed a wheelchair, he never wavered. He hired nurses to tend to my needs, secured the best hearing aids money could buy, and when paralysis crept in, he fed me himself, his fingers steady as he wiped my chin. "You're my strength, Shuyu," he whispered, his eyes warm. I clung to those words, convinced we were bound for life. The world saw us as a fairy tale, the brave girl who saved the heir rewarded with his love. My friends envied me, my parents beamed with pride, and I let myself believe I'd found happiness. But beneath the surface, cracks formed. Ethan's late-night meetings with his family's associates grew frequent, their voices hushed as they discussed deals reeking of corruption. I overheard fragments, names of officials, paid-off properties seized through coercion, even a rival developer who vanished after crossing the Pierces. I dismissed it as business, which I didn't understand, and I was too blinded by my love to question. My father, proud of our school's expansion, never saw the strings attached. The Pierce family's investments came with expectations, loyalty, silence, control. They funded new dojos, but demanded oversight, their men lingering at our classes watching. I taught when I could, my martial arts skills adapted to my limitations, guiding students through katas with verbal cues, since my hands could no longer demonstrate. Ethan encouraged me, praising my resilience, but his smiles never reached his eyes. I told myself it was stress, the weight of his family's empire. I was wrong. For 10 years, I lived in that fragile dream, my world narrowing to Ethan's care and my family's success. I ignored the whispers of my doubts, the way Ethan's gaze lingered on a faded photo in his study, a photo I never dared to examine closely. I believed we were building a future, that my sacrifices had forged something unbreakable. I trained my students with patience, my voice steady, despite my silent ear, my wheelchair, a throne of hard-won strength. But deep down, a quiet fear gnawed at me. What if Ethan's love was a performance? What if the Pierce family's gratitude was a cage? That fear would become my truth, but not yet. In those years, I was still the girl who'd given everything for love, unaware of the betrayal waiting at the edge of a cliff. My past life was a lesson in sacrifice, a tapestry of loyalty woven with threads of deception. Now reborn, I carried those memories as both a wound and a weapon, ready to carve a new path where Ethan Pierce could never hurt me again. The sun dipped low, painting the mountain summit in hues of amber and gold. Wen Shuyu sat in my wheelchair, Ethan's arms steady around me as he carried me up the final steps. It was our 10th wedding anniversary, a milestone I'd dreamed of celebrating with him, the man I'd given everything to save. My hands, scarred and useless from that fateful night in the alley, rested in my lap. My hearing, stolen by Logan's blade, left the world muffled on one side, but Ethan's presence felt like a beacon. I leaned against him, my heart swelling with fragile hope, and whispered, "Let's make a wish, Ethan. For us forever." His silence was a blade sharp and cold. He set me down at the cliff's edge, the wind tugging at my hair. I turned to him, expecting his warm smile, but his face was a mask, eyes hard, lips pressed thin. "You don't deserve it, Shuyu," he said, his voice like ice. "You planned it all, didn't you? Got yourself injured to trap me, to force my parents to make me marry you. You ruined my life. You got Emily killed." Each word struck like a fist, unraveling the decade I'd spent believing in his love. Emily Tang. His first love, whose photo he kept hidden in his study, was the ghost between us. I shook my head, tears stinging my eyes. "Ethan, I love you. I saved you because—" My words choked off as he stepped closer, his shadow swallowing the fading light. "Love," he spat. "You're a manipulative opportunist. Emily died because of you, and this marriage was your cage for me." He pulled a worn photo from his pocket, Emily's face smiling untouched by time. He kissed it with a tenderness I'd never known, his eyes glinting with devotion. Then, with a force that shattered my world, he shoved me. The wheelchair tipped, and I plummeted, the cliff's edge vanishing above me. Fear sharpened every sense, the rush of wind, the jagged rocks below, Ethan's silhouette against the sunset, clutching Emily's photo. My scream tore through the silence, but it wasn't just the fall that broke me. It was the truth: Ethan had never loved me. His care and tenderness had been a performance, a debt repaid until he could discard me. As I fell, a memory surfaced, a secret I'd buried out of fear. A year before, I'd followed Ethan to this cliff, planning his birthday surprise. Hidden in the trees, I'd seen him with a group of men dragging a bound woman, Logan's mother, I later learned. "You thought your son could steal my inheritance?" Ethan snarled, carving a red cross into her cheek with a knife. "Die and he'll follow." He kicked her off the edge, her scream echoing as I fumbled with my phone recording in a panic. I'd kept that video, terrified of Ethan's wrath, storing it on a hidden drive I never dared to touch. I'd deleted it months later, convinced my happy marriage meant I'd never need it. That choice, born of naive trust, haunted me as I fell. Ethan's betrayal wasn't just personal. The Pierce family's empire, which I'd once seen as a savior, was a house of lies. Their real estate dominance masked a criminal syndicate, extortion rackets, strong-arming competitors, bribes, securing city contracts, and murders silencing threats. Ethan was no bystander. He was complicit, his hands stained with the blood of those who crossed his family. My sacrifice in the alley had saved their heir, but it also chained me to their corruption. They'd funded our dojo to control me, to keep me silent, their gratitude a gilded cage. As I fell, despair gave way to clarity. The Pierce family hadn't just used me, they'd orchestrated my destruction. Ethan believed I'd schemed to trap him, blaming me for Emily's death in a plane crash on our wedding day, her body never found. He'd played the devoted husband for a decade, numbing me with false love until he could erase me. The video I'd recorded was my only weapon, one I'd discarded in my past life's blindness. If I survived this fall, I vowed to wield it. But survival wasn't guaranteed. The rocks rushed closer, and my heart screamed for the life I'd lost, not just to Ethan, but to my devotion. I'd been a martial arts prodigy, my father's pride, yet I'd let love reduce me to a pawn. The cosmic pulse that would later rebirth me flickered faintly, a whisper of second chances. As darkness claimed me, I clung to one truth. If I lived again, Ethan Pierce would pay, and the empire would crumble. The alley was a wound in the city's heart, its shadows pulsing with violence. Wen Shuyu stood at its edge, my reborn senses sharp as a blade. The cosmic pulse that had thrust me back to this night, a night I'd once bled for, hummed faintly in my chest, a reminder of my second chance. Ethan Pierce, heir to the Pierce family's corrupt empire, lay crumpled within his groans, muffled by a burlap sack. "Logan, don't think you can hide." He spat, his voice raw but defiant. "A real man owns his sins." Logan, his half-brother, loomed over him, eyes bloodshot with rage, still talking. "Ethan, you won't cry until you're in your grave. In my past life, I'd been the fool who rushed in my martial arts training, guiding my body as I shielded Ethan from Logan's knife. I'd paid with my hands, my hearing, my future. But tonight, reborn with the weight of betrayal etched into my soul, I chose differently. The Pierce family's empire, built on extorted land deals, bribed officials, and silenced enemies, had no claim on me anymore. Ethan's love had been a lie, his final act a push off a cliff. I wouldn't bleed for him again. I slipped my headphones over my ears, the soft beat of music drowning out the thuds of fists on flesh. My hands still whole in this life, clenched briefly, a reflex from years of training under my father's watchful eye. I could have disarmed Logan's men, my kicks were still precise, my instincts honed, but I turned away. Each step down the cracked sidewalk was a severance, a rejection of the girl who'd loved Ethan to her ruin. Let him face his fate, I thought. Let the Pierce family's sins catch up. But I wasn't done yet. I pulled a burner phone from my jacket, which I purchased that morning with cash. My reborn clarity urged caution. My fingers danced across the screen, typing a message to Emily Tang, the woman Ethan had kissed in a photo as I fell to my death. Ethan's being beaten across from the Science Museum. Save him, or he dies. I sent it, then snapped the phone shut, blocking the number. I tossed it into a dumpster, its weight a small price for my freedom. Emily would act. I'd seen her devotion in my past life, her fierce loyalty to Ethan. But there was something else, a memory of her glancing at Logan during a Pierce family gala, her eyes lingering too long. Were they allies? Lovers I didn't know, but I'd use her to keep Ethan alive, to let their drama unfold without me. From a shadowed corner across the street, I watched. Minutes later, Emily sprinted into the alley. Her hair wild, 2 men at her side, hired muscle perhaps, or friends. Ethan, she screamed, her voice piercing the night. Logan's men froze, caught off guard, then scattered as her companions charged. Blades flashed under the street lamp, and a cry Emily's cut through the chaos. Blood streamed from her ear, a wound that would steal her hearing just as mine had been taken in another life. Ethan, bloodied and limp, was dragged from the sack, his leg twisted at an unnatural angle, his right eye swollen shut. Sirens wailed and an ambulance screeched to a halt. Paramedics rushed in, lifting Ethan onto a stretcher, his groans faint. Emily stumbled out, clutching her ear, her face pale but resolute. Logan and his men vanished over a wall, their shadows swallowed by the night. I turned away, my headphones back on the music, a shield against the guilt that flickered briefly in my chest. I'd saved Ethan indirectly, but not for love, for strategy. Let Emily be his hero. Let the Pierce family scramble to cover their heir's wounds. I headed for the train station, my backpack light but my resolve heavy. I'd already secured a new identity, Lee May, a name untainted by the Pierce family's reach. My visa waited and my escape to a distant country was planned. The city's neon glow faded behind me, each step a promise to myself I'd never be their pawn again. Ethan would survive, but broken his leg, shattered his eye blind. Emily, too, would carry scars. And Logan. His rage hinted at a deeper vendetta, one tied to the mother Ethan had murdered, a secret I held in a video I'd yet to wield. As I boarded the train, the cosmic pulse thrummed again, a faint echo of the force that had reborn me. It wasn't just a second chance, but a call to rewrite my story and dismantle the Pierce family's lies. Emily's swift response nagged at me, her connection to Logan, a puzzle I'd solve later. For now, I was a ghost slipping through the cracks of a city that had once caged me, ready to vanish and reclaim my life. The train's hum vibrated through my bones as I Wen Shuyu stared out the window, the city's lights blurring into neon streaks. The cosmic pulse that had reborn me, a mysterious surge like the universe granting me a second chance, still thrummed faintly, urging me onward. I'd walked away from Ethan Pierce's ambush in the alley, leaving him to his half-brother Logan's wrath. My text to Emily Tang had ensured his survival, but at a cost: his leg shattered, his right eye blinded, and Emily's hearing stolen by a blade. Under my new identity, Lee May, I was bound for the airport, a one-way ticket to freedom in my pocket. But the Pierce family's shadow loomed large. Their empire, a glittering facade of real estate dominance, hid a rotting core, decades of extortion, bribed city officials and rivals who vanished under suspicious circumstances. Ethan's attack made headlines, and the news I glimpsed on a station TV painted a twisted picture. Ethan, from his hospital bed, accused Logan of orchestrating the assault, claiming his illegitimate half-brother sought to steal the Pierce inheritance. Yet Logan's alibi was ironclad video footage from an out-of-town auction, time-stamped and verified, placed him hours away. The public smelled a rat. Whispers spread, amplified by online forums. Had Ethan staged the attack to frame Logan? Was this a ruthless play to secure his family's fortune? The Pierce family's history fueled suspicion. Stories resurfaced of competitors driven bankrupt by mysterious lawsuits, tenants evicted through intimidation, and a city councilor who retired after opposing a Pierce development. I knew the truth: their wealth was blood money, their gratitude for my past life's sacrifice, a ploy to bind me to their lies. I tightened my grip on my backpack, the weight of my new passport grounding me. The cosmic pulse had given me clarity, a chance to escape the cage I'd once called love. Ethan's survival wasn't my victory, it was a delay and opportunity for him to regroup and hunt me. I'd seen his hatred on that cliff, his hand shoving me to my death as he kissed Emily's photo. He'd blamed me for her plane crash for ruining his life. Now reborn, I understood the Pierce family didn't just use people, they erased them. At the station, I bought a burner phone, my fingers steady, despite the adrenaline coursing through me. I rechecked the news, unable to resist. Ethan's accusations against Logan had backfired. A grainy surveillance clip leaked online showed me passing the alley's entrance that night, my headphones on my stride, deliberate. Cold-hearted, the comments read. She saw him and walked away. I swallowed a bitter laugh. They didn't know I'd saved Ethan, indirectly texting Emily to intervene. They didn't realize the Pierce family's gratitude had cost me my hands, hearing, and life. The footage sparked a firestorm. Was Ethan framing Logan to protect his inheritance, one reporter mused? Or is this woman Wen Shuyu involved? My old name stung, a reminder of the girl I'd buried. The Pierce family's media allies, no doubt on their payroll, spun the narrative Logan was a vengeful outcast, Shuyu a potential accomplice. I powered off the phone, my heart racing. They were closing in, and their influence was a net I had to slip through. I boarded a bus to the airport, my cap pulled low. The cosmic pulse flared briefly, a reminder of my purpose: escape, survive, expose. I'd kept a secret from my past life, a video of Ethan murdering Logan's mother recorded in a panic and hidden out of fear. I hadn't used it yet, but its weight anchored me. The Pierce family's crimes, extorting landowners, rigging bids, silencing whistleblowers, wouldn't stay buried forever. I'd seen their ledgers, once glimpsed in Ethan's study-coded payments to consultants who never existed, shell companies tied to missing persons. That knowledge, paired with the video, was my leverage. As the bus rumbled on, I thought of Emily. Her swift response to my text, her willingness to risk everything, nagged at me. I remembered a moment from my past life, a Pierce family event, where Emily and Logan stood too close, their eyes locked in a silent exchange. Were they plotting even then? Lovers perhaps united against Ethan's family, I didn't know, but I'd used her, and she'd paid with her hearing. Guilt flickered, but I pushed it down. She'd chosen Ethan just as I once had. The airport loomed ahead, my escape within reach. I'd vanish, become Li Mei, and leave Wen Shuyu behind. But the Pierce family's reach was long. Their corruption was a cancer that infected the city. Ethan's survival meant he'd come for me, his reborn hatred as fierce as mine. I clutched my backpack, the burner phone inside, a lifeline to a future I'd fight for. The cosmic pulse thrummed, promising that I'd outrun their lies or bring them crashing down this time. The birthday party buzzed with laughter and clinking glasses, starkly contrasting the storm brewing in my chest. Wen Shuyu had slipped into the crowded venue, hoping to blend in while awaiting my final visa papers. My new identity, Li Mei, was nearly complete, a ticket to vanish from the Pierce family's grasp. The cosmic pulse that had reborn me, a celestial gift granting me this second chance, hummed softly, urging me to stay sharp. I'd walked away from Ethan Pierce's ambush, texted Emily Tang to save him, and now hid from the fallout. But fate, it seemed, wasn't done with me. I lingered near the bar, my cap pulled low, when a hand grabbed my sleeve. Emily Tang stood before me, her face flushed with anger, her right ear bandaged from the alley's blade. "Shuyu, you saw Ethan being attacked that night. Why didn't you help?" Her voice carried over the music-drawing eyes. The room quieted, and I felt the weight of a dozen stares. Ethan sat across the room in a wheelchair, his leg in a cast, his right eye hidden behind gauze. His remaining eye fixed on me, cold and accusing, a mirror of the hatred he'd shown on that cliff in my past life. Surveillance footage had leaked, showing me passing the alley with headphones on my stride, deliberate. The clip, no doubt pushed by the Pierce family's media allies, had sparked whispers. Was I complicit? A traitor? I straightened my father's martial arts training, steadying my nerves. I didn't see anything, I said calmly, meeting Emily's gaze. If I had, I would have acted. My voice was firm, but doubt flickered in the crowd's eyes. A friend stepped forward, hesitant. "Shuyu, your dad runs a dojo. You're trained to fight. Why didn't you?" The question stung, but I was ready. In my past life, I'd used my skills to shield Ethan, losing my hands and hearing. Now I chose restraint, but not weakness. As a glass sailed toward me from an onlooker's hand, fueled by the crowd's suspicion, I pivoted, my reflexes sharp. My arm swept up, deflecting the glass with a controlled block, sending it clattering harmlessly to the floor. Gasps rippled through the room. I didn't see it. I repeated my tone, icy. I was passing by. Emily wasn't done. She thrust her phone forward, the blurry footage playing on a loop. You walked right past Shuyu, the daughter of a martial arts master, and you did nothing. Her accusation hung heavy, but I caught a flicker in her eyes, something beyond anger, a guarded intensity I'd seen before at a Pierce gala where she'd stood too close to Logan, their glances charged with unspoken purpose. Were they plotting even now, using Ethan's attack to their advantage? I filed the thought away, my reborn clarity sharpening my instincts. Ethan spoke, his voice cutting through the murmurs. Shuyu, one question, did Logan pay you to abandon me? The room fell silent, every eye on me. My pulse quickened, but my training kept me grounded. I'd faced worse than his stare, his hands on my throat, in another life, his shove off a cliff. I don't know Logan, I said, my voice steady. You know that, Ethan. His brow furrowed, the bandaged eye twisting his face into a grimace. I thought he'd press further for a moment, but he signaled Emily to wheel him away, leaving the crowd whispering. I turned to leave my exit, blocked by curious faces. The Pierce family's influence was a noose tightening around me. Their empire, built on coerced land deals and silenced rivals, wielded media like a weapon. They'd spun me as a villain, a cold-hearted schemer tied to Logan's attack. I knew their playbook: discredit, isolate, eliminate. I'd seen it in my past life in ledgers hidden in Ethan's study payments to fixers who made problems disappear, names crossed out after accidents too convenient to be chance. As I slipped through the crowd, my mind raced. The video I'd recorded in my past life, Ethan murdering Logan's mother on that cliff, was my trump card, still hidden on a drive I'd secured before fleeing. I'd kept it out of fear, knowing the Pierce family's wrath would crush me if they learned of it. Now reborn, I saw its power, but using it meant exposing myself, risking their retaliation. I needed time distance and a new life as Li Mei. The cosmic pulse flared, a reminder of my purpose. I stepped into the night, the party's glow fading behind me. Ethan's accusation, Emily's fervor, the crowd's doubt, they were all traps set by a family that thrived on control. I wouldn't let them cage me again. My visa was hours away and my escape was imminent. But Emily's glance, her tie to Logan, lingered in my mind. Were they allies in a game I'd only begun to understand? I'd find out, but not here, not yet. The city's pulse thrummed beneath my feet as Wen Shuyu hurried through its shadowed streets. My cap pulled low to hide my face. The cosmic pulse that had reborn me, a celestial spark, like the universe granting me a second chance, urged me to move faster. My visa was hours away, and my new identity as Li Mei was a lifeline to escape the Pierce family's grasp. I'd walked away from Ethan Pierce's ambush in the alley, texted Emily Tang to save him, and faced their accusations at a party that painted me a traitor. The Pierce family's empire, built on extorted properties and silenced rivals, was a tightening noose, and I knew they'd come for me. My father's martial arts training kept my senses sharp. Years in the dojo taught me to read the air and sense threats in the rustle of leaves or shoe scuff. My hands, still whole in this life, flexed instinctively as I ducked into an alley to avoid a crowded intersection. I could disarm a thug with a wrist lock or disable an attacker with a precise kick, but I wanted no fight, only escape. Then it came, a sudden grip on my arm, a cloth reeking of chemicals pressed over my mouth. I twisted my elbow, snapping back in a move honed from countless sparring sessions. It connected, drawing a grunt, but more hands seized me, dragging me into a van. I kicked my heel, grazing a shin, but the chloroform won, and darkness swallowed me. I woke on a cold concrete floor, wrists bound, in a cavernous abandoned factory. The air smelled of rust and oil, and a bulb cast harsh shadows. Ethan Pierce sat before me in his wheelchair, his leg in a cast, his right eye bandaged, his remaining eye burning with a hatred I knew too well. It was the same gaze he'd worn on that cliff in my past life when he'd shoved me to my death, blaming me for Emily's loss. "Why didn't you save me, Shuyu?" he hissed, his voice low and venomous. "It should have been you, crippled, not me." My heart pounded, but my training kept me steady. I tested the ropes, my fingers probing for slack, a technique my father taught for escaping holds. I lied, I didn't see you, Ethan. My voice calm despite the fear clawing my chest. His lips curled into a sneer. "Liar. You walked away. You let Logan destroy me." Two men loomed behind him, their faces hard, Pierce family enforcers, no doubt the kind who made rivals disappear. I'd overheard Ethan in my past life discussing cleanups for the family's empire. A developer buried in concrete, a journalist's car accident staged. This was their work. You know what my family does to traitors, Ethan said, leaning forward. You could have been my savior again, but you chose Logan. His words sent a chill down my spine. Then it hit his rage, his focus on my betrayal. It wasn't just anger. He remembered the cliff, the fall, and my past life. You're reborn too, I whispered, the cosmic pulse flaring in my chest, confirming the impossible. Ethan's eye widened briefly, then narrowed. You don't get to walk away this time, he growled. He nodded to his men, and one grabbed my shoulders, forcing me to my knees. I twisted my bound hands, finding leverage, and swept my leg in a low arc, tripping the thug. He stumbled, cursing, but Ethan's hand shot up, signaling them to stop. Enough, he said, his voice cold. You'll pay Shuyu. He leaned forward, his breath hot against my face, and shoved me hard between the shoulder blades. I fell, my head striking the concrete, and the world blurred. I woke in a hospital, pain throbbing in my skull. My parents hovered, their faces pale. Shuyu, thank God, my mother sobbed. A villager found you in a ditch, half dead. My father's eyes were steel. What happened? I opened my mouth to say Ethan's name, but stopped. The Pierce family's reach was vast, bribed police, falsified alibis. Logan had an auction video. Ethan could have one too. I don't remember, I said, my voice hollow. The police took my statement, left their card, and exited. In the hospital bed, I pieced it together. Ethan's rebirth meant he knew my moves, my secrets. He'd used his family's media machine to spin me as Logan's accomplice, my fall a suicide attempt to dodge guilt. The news on the hospital TV confirmed it, Wen Shuyu linked to Pierce heir's attack attempt suicide. I clenched my fists, my martial arts discipline grounding me. The video of Ethan killing Logan's mother, hidden in my past life, was my weapon. I'd kept it out of fear, knowing the Pierce family's wrath, now reborn, I'd use it. But first I had to escape before Ethan's next strike. The hospital's sterile hum faded as Wen Shuyu slipped out, my head still throbbing from Ethan's attack in the factory. The cosmic pulse that had reborn me a celestial gift, granting me the second chance, urged me to move, to flee before the Pierce family's next strike. My new identity, Li Mei, was ready, my visa secured, but Ethan's reborn hatred revealed in his cold accusation, it should have been you crippled, loomed like a storm. The Pierce family's empire, built on extorted properties and silenced enemies, had painted me as Logan's accomplice, my fall a suicide attempt. I had to vanish now. My parents bundled me home, their faces etched with worry. Shuyu, stay hidden, my father said, his voice steady but eyes fierce. A martial arts master, he'd taught me to face threats head on, but this was a war of shadows. My right ear, damaged in my past life's alley fight, ached faintly, a reminder of my sacrifices for Ethan. I'd adapted then, relying on my left ear and honed instincts, and now in this life my hearing remained intact, but my caution was sharper. I packed a small bag, my hands still nimble from years of training, moving purposefully. The news blared on our TV, Wen Shuyu, tied to the Pierce heir's attack, attempted suicide after conspiring with Logan Pierce. Ethan's media allies had twisted the narrative, their influence vast. The Pierce family's corruption ran deep, rigged bids for skyscrapers' rivals, bankrupted by mysterious audits a whistleblower found drowned in a boating accident. In my past life, I'd seen their ledgers coded payments to fixers who erased problems. They were erasing me, painting me as a schemer to protect Ethan's lies. Reporters swarmed our doorstep, their cameras flashing like vultures circling. Miss Wen, did you plot with Logan for the Pierce fortune? One shouted, shoving a microphone in my face. Do you feel remorseful for betraying Ethan? My father shielded me, his broad frame a wall. My daughter is innocent, he roared. A rock flew from the crowd, grazing my shoulder. Instinct kicked in. I ducked my martial arts training, guiding my balance, and caught my father's eye. Go, he whispered. Hide with a friend. We'll handle this. I pulled my cap low and slipped out the back, my heart racing but my steps silent, a skill honed in the dojo. I headed for a friend's apartment. My mind on the video I'd kept in my past life, Ethan murdering Logan's mother, recorded out of fear. It was my leverage hidden on a drive I'd stashed before fleeing. I couldn't use it yet. Exposing it meant exposing myself. The cosmic pulse flared, urging patience. I needed distance, a new life as Li Mei. But the alley loomed ahead where Ethan had been ambushed. I froze as a figure stepped into the light, Logan spinning a short knife, his eyes glinting with menace. Shuyu, he said, his voice low. You testified that I attacked him. Why drag me into this? 4 men flanked him, their hands on blades. My pulse quickened, but my training took over. I shifted my stance, ready to strike. I never testified, I said, my voice steady. I don't know you, Logan. He smirked, stepping closer. You're lying. Cut off her ears, he ordered his men, and send them to Ethan as a gift. The words echoed my past life when I'd begged Logan to spare Ethan and lost my hearing. Fear surged, but I was no victim now. As one thug lunged, I sidestepped my elbow, snapping into his wrist, disarming him. The knife clattered to the ground. Another swung, and I ducked my kick, sweeping his legs from under him. Logan's eyes narrowed, impressed but unmoved. Enough, he said, raising a hand. You've got skill, but no way out. I backed against the wall, my breath steady despite the odds. This isn't my fight, Logan, I said. Ethan's the one you want. He killed your mother, didn't he? The words were a gamble drawn from the video I held. Logan's face darkened, confirming my suspicion. You know too much, he said, his knife inching closer. My fingers twitched, ready to block, but I knew I couldn't take them all. I'm not your enemy, I insisted. Let me go. Logan hesitated, his gaze flickering. Was it doubt, or something else, a connection to Emily whose loyalty to Ethan I'd questioned? Before he could decide, sirens wailed nearby. His men scattered, and Logan vanished into the shadows, leaving me trembling but alive. I ran my cap shielding my face, the cosmic pulse urging me toward the airport. The Pierce family's lies, Logan's vengeance, and my secret video were a powder keg. I had to escape before it exploded, but Ethan's reach and his reborn fury wouldn't let me go easily. The alley's shadows clung to me as I, Wen Shuyu, sprinted from Logan's threat, my heart pounding, but my steps steady. The cosmic pulse that had reborn me a celestial spark, granting me the second chance, urged me toward the airport, my escape as Li Mei within reach. Ethan Pierce's vengeful attack in the factory, his reborn hatred, confirmed by his chilling words, had nearly broken me. The Pierce family's empire, built on extorted land and bloodied hands, had painted me as Logan's accomplice, their media machine relentless. But Logan's knife, his order to cut off my ears, had sparked a fire. I wasn't just running, I was ready to fight back. I ducked into a side street, my martial arts training sharpening my senses. My father's dojo taught me to move like a shadow and strike precisely. I could have fought Logan's men longer, disarmed another blade, but survival meant staying free. The video I'd kept from my past life, Ethan murdering Logan's mother on a cliff, recorded in a panic, was my weapon. I'd hidden it out of fear, knowing the Pierce family's fixers silenced threats with car crashes or staged suicides. Now reborn, I saw its power to shatter their lies. Fate, however, had other plans. As I neared a safe house, a figure blocked my path. Logan, his knife gone, but his eyes sharp. Behind him stood Emily Tang, her bandaged ear a stark reminder of the alley's cost. Shuyu, Logan said, his voice low. You know about my mother? I froze my hand, hovering near my pocket where a concealed knife, a dojo habit, waited. I said I didn't frame you, my stance ready to dodge. Ethan's the killer, not me. Emily stepped forward, her gaze intense. We know, she said, surprising me. I got close to Ethan to expose him. Logan's my partner. The words hit like a spark. Their glances at past Pierce galas, their unspoken bond. It wasn't just loyalty to Ethan. They were lovers united to avenge Logan's mother killed by Ethan to secure the family fortune. We saw the surveillance, Emily continued. You walked away. You texted me to save him. Why? I weighed my words, my training keeping me calm. I saved him to stay out of it, I said. But Ethan's reborn like me. He tried to kill me again. Logan's eyes narrowed, but Emily nodded. We believe you, she said. Please help us. Release that video. My pulse quickened. The video stored on a hidden drive was my leverage, but using it meant stepping into the open. They'll kill me, I said, my voice steady. The Pierce family buries their enemies literally. Logan smirked, but his tone softened. They buried my mother. We'll protect you. He gestured to his men, now watching from a distance. Ethan's proposing to Emily is a public stunt to clear his name tomorrow. Upload the video then. We'll handle the rest. It was a risk, but the cosmic pulse flared, urging me to act. I nodded. Deal. That night I retrieved the drive from a locker, my fingers trembling as I uploaded the video anonymously to a news site. The footage was damning, Ethan, carving a cross into Logan's mother's cheek, snarling, Your son won't take my inheritance before kicking her off the cliff. I added a voice-modulated caption, Ethan Pierce, you killed her. Now pay. As dawn broke, I boarded a bus to the airport, my visa ready, but I couldn't resist watching the fallout. Ethan's press conference streamed live, his wheelchair a prop, as he slid a ring toward Emily, his face a mask of sincerity. The crowd cooed, but then the screen flickered. My video played and Ethan's crime was exposed to hundreds. Gasps turned to shouts. Mr. Pierce, Did you murder her? A reporter demanded. Is this why Logan attacked you? Ethan's face paled, his hands fumbling for his phone. Emily dropped the ring, her shock genuine, or was it? Her glance at Logan's men in the crowd, subtle but deliberate, told me she was in on the plan. Chaos erupted. Reporters swarmed, cameras flashing. Are you a murderer? One screamed. Ethan tried to wheel away, his leg cast, slowing him, but security, likely Logan's allies, blocked his path. Emily covered her face, but I saw her lips twitch, a hint of satisfaction. The Pierce family's empire built on rigged contracts and blood cracked under the weight of truth. I turned off my phone, the cosmic pulse steady in my chest. I'd struck back, but Ethan's reach was long. As Lee May, I'd vanish, but the video was only the beginning. Logan and Emily's alliance, their shared vengeance, was a force I'd underestimated, and one I'd need to survive. The airport's hum buzzed around me as Wen Shuyu clutched my boarding pass, my new identity as Lee May, a fragile shield. The cosmic pulse that had reborn me, a celestial spark granting me this second chance, thrummed with urgency, warning me that time was slipping away. I'd uploaded the video exposing Ethan Pierce's murder of Logan's mother, shattering his press conference and sparking chaos. The Pierce family's empire, built on extorted properties and silenced rivals, was teetering, but Ethan's reborn hatred revealed in his factory attack meant he'd hunt me relentlessly. I needed to vanish, but Logan and Emily had other plans. As I neared the gate, a shadow blocked my path. Logan stood there, his eyes sharp. Emily at his side, her bandaged ear a stark reminder of their shared fight. Shuyu, Logan said, his voice low. You posted the video, now please finish it. My hand twitched toward the concealed knife in my pocket, a martial arts habit from my father's dojo, where I'd learned to wield blades with precision. I'm done, I said, my stance ready to dodge. I gave you the video. Let me go. Emily's gaze softened, but her words were steel. Ethan's rallying, his family bribed lawyers claiming the video was fake. We need you to testify. I froze. Testify meant stepping back into the Pierce family's crosshairs, their fixers ready to stage another accident like the rival developer crushed in a construction collapse or the journalist drowned in a staged crash. But Logan's following words shifted the ground. We're together, he said, nodding to Emily. We've been planning this since Ethan killed my mother. Help us and we'll protect you. Their alliance, hinted at in stolen glances at Pierce galas, was real lovers bound by vengeance. I weighed my options and my training kept me calm. What's the plan? I asked. Logan smirked. Ethan's holding another press conference tomorrow, a last-ditch effort to clear his name. Testify that the video's fake, say you were with him that day. Then flip it, expose his coercion. We've got people inside, Emily added. The cameras will be live. He won't escape. It was a gamble, but the cosmic pulse flared, urging me to act. Fine, I said. But if this goes wrong, I'm dead. Logan nodded, his men stepping back. I spent the night in a safe house, my knife, close my mind, replaying dojo lessons, strike fast, stay sharp. Morning came and I sat in Ethan's car, tears staged for effect. I lied for you, Ethan, I whispered, my voice trembling. Don't let me down. His face lit with triumph, his hand gripping my wrist. He said, you're saving me, Shuyu, oblivious to the trap. The press conference buzzed with reporters handpicked by Ethan but infiltrated by Logan's allies. I took the podium, my heart steady despite the cameras. The video was fake and I sobbed, my voice breaking artfully. Ethan was with me on his birthday, not at the cliff. The crowd murmured, some convinced, others skeptical. Then I turned, tears streaming, and grabbed the mic. Mr. Pierce, I did what you asked, now let my parents go. The room erupted. Was she coerced? A reporter shouted. Did Ethan threaten her family? Ethan's face twisted, his wheelchair lurching forward. You lied, he roared, lunging at me, his hands wrapping around my throat. My training kicked in. I twisted, breaking his grip with a wrist lock, but I let him push me back for the cameras. Flashes exploded as Logan's planted journalist screamed, he's attacking her. The live feed broadcast, Ethan's rage, his bloodshot eye unbandaged, now burning with the same fury I'd seen on the cliff. Security, some loyal to Logan, hesitated long enough for the world to see. Police stormed in, pulling Ethan off me. I gasped, my neck bruised, but my resolve unbroken. The Pierce family's corruption, rigged contracts, murdered rivals had been exposed by my video, but this was the nail in their coffin. Ethan's attack, live-streamed, confirmed his guilt. As he was dragged away, his eyes locked on mine, a mix of shock and realization. He hissed, "You're reborn," echoing my discovery in the factory. I slipped out Logan's men, guiding me to a car. Emily whispered, You did it. I nodded, my voice hoarse. Please get me out. The cosmic pulse steadied me as we sped away, and the airport was my next stop. The Pierce family's empire was crumbling, their crimes laid bare, but Ethan's reach, even in custody, was a threat. My testimony had been a weapon forged in the dojo of my mind, and I'd wielded it perfectly. Logan and Emily's vengeance was my shield for now. The sun filtered through the dojo's windows, casting warm patterns on the polished wooden floor. Wen Shuyu stood at the center, guiding a class of students through a kata, my voice steady despite the faint ache in my right ear, a scar from my past life's sacrifice for Ethan Pierce. The cosmic pulse that had reborn me, a celestial spark granting this second chance, now hummed softly, a reminder of my victory. My testimony at Ethan's press conference, a calculated betrayal orchestrated with Logan and Emily, had exposed his violence to the world. His live-streamed attack, choking me as cameras rolled, had sealed his fate. The Pierce family's empire, a house of cards built on blood and deceit, was crumbling, and I was finally free. Ethan's confession came swiftly broken by the weight of undeniable evidence. In a televised statement, he admitted to murdering Logan's mother, a desperate act to secure the Pierce inheritance. His words unraveled the family's secrets, decades of extortion, bribing officials to rig property deals, and fixers who silenced rivals with staged accidents, a developer buried in a collapsed site, a journalist drowned in a faked crash. Once a real estate titan, the Pierce empire faced asset seizures and investigations. Ethan and his parents were sentenced to prison, their legacy reduced to headlines of corruption. I returned to my father's martial arts school, my sanctuary. The Pierce family's investments had once fueled its expansion, a gilded cage to control me. Now I taught with purpose, my hands still nimble in this life, guiding students through strikes and blocks I could no longer fully demonstrate in my past. My partial deafness, a lingering echo of that alley fight, forced me to rely on my left ear and sharpened instincts. I adapted to heal my students' respect for old wounds using visual cues and clear commands. The dojo was my home, its rhythm grounding me in a life I'd reclaimed. The public's outrage was relentless. Online forums buzzed with fury. The Pierces bought their way to power. How many died for their fortune? I avoided the news, focusing on my classes, but fragments reached me. The family's shell companies exposed in court are linked to missing whistleblowers and coerced landowners. My video of Ethan's crime, paired with his televised assault, had sparked a reckoning. I'd wielded it not for revenge, but survival, a lesson learned in my father's dojo strike, only when necessary, but strike true. My parents, shaken by the mob at our doorstep, now smiled as they watched me teach. My mother said, "You're stronger than we knew," her eyes bright. My father, ever the master, adjusted my stance during a demonstration, his pride unspoken but clear. I'd faced Logan's knife, Ethan's hands on my throat, and emerged unbroken. Though limited by my past life's injuries, my martial arts training gave me discipline in this one. I could still disarm a sparring partner with a wrist lock, my movements fluid despite the ache in my ear. Logan and Emily remained shadows in my mind. Their alliance, revealed as lovers bound by vengeance, had been my unexpected shield. I recalled Emily's glance at Logan during a Pierce gala, their silent pact now clear. They'd used me just as I'd used them, but our goals aligned, topple Ethan, dismantle his family. I wondered where they were, their plan to fake their deaths. A plane crash mirroring Emily's past life fate, still unconfirmed. I didn't dwell on it. My focus was here in the dojo, where I was no longer Wen Shuyu, the Pierce family's pawn, but Shuyu, the teacher. Once a fierce call to action, the cosmic pulse felt like a gentle anchor. It had guided me through betrayal, the alley's shadows, and Ethan's rage to this moment of peace. I taught my students to breathe balance and strike purposefully, just as I'd learned to live again. The Pierce family's fall was complete, their crimes laid bare. Ethan's hatred, reborn like mine, had been his undoing. As I corrected a student's form, my voice echoing in the dojo, I knew I'd won, not just against Ethan, but for the life I'd built from the ashes of my past. The apricot tree outside my father's martial arts school swayed gently in the morning breeze, its blossoms a soft pink against the dawn sky. Wen Shuyu stood at the dojo's entrance, my hands steady as I adjusted a student's stance, my voice clear despite the faint ache in my right ear, a remnant of my past life's sacrifice for Ethan Pierce. The cosmic pulse that had reborn me, a celestial spark granting this second chance, now hummed like a quiet lullaby, anchoring me in the life I'd reclaimed. The Pierce family's empire had fallen, their crimes, extortion, rigged contracts, and murders exposed by my video and Ethan's live-streamed attack. I was free, but the past lingered, its shadows softening but never gone. I taught purposefully, and my martial arts skills were adapted to my limitations. In my past life, severed tendons and partial deafness had forced me to guide students with words, not hands. But in this life, my fingers could still demonstrate a wrist lock. My kicks precise despite the ache. My students mirrored my katas, their respect a testament to the strength I'd forged through betrayal. Once funded by the Pierce family's blood money, the dojo was now ours again, its walls echoing with honest effort. My ear, though scarred, didn't hinder me. I'd learned to read lips and trust my instincts, a resilience honed by years of training and survival. A student's shout broke my focus. Teacher, Shuyu, visitors. I stepped outside, my heart catching as I saw two figures beneath the apricot tree. Logan stood tall, a cigarette between his lips, his eyes weary but calm. Beside him, Emily Tang waved her bandaged ear, mirroring my own. Her smile, hesitant but warm. Shuyu, Logan said, exhaling smoke, we're leaving. Emily's hand brushed his, their bond clear lovers united by vengeance, their glances at Pierce galas, now a memory I understood. They'd orchestrated Ethan's downfall with me, their plan as sharp as my father's blades. You posted the video, Emily said softly. It worked. I nodded, my throat tight. You used me, but I used you too, I said. Logan chuckled, a rare softness in his gaze. Fair trade. We avenged my mother. Emily got close to Ethan to trap him, but that alley his camera caught us off guard. Emily's smile faded. We thought you loved him, Shuyu. We were wrong. I'm sorry. Her apology genuine stirred something in me. My ear for their empire, I said, touching my scar. Worth it. Logan's younger brother, a quiet figure I'd barely noticed, handed me a milk tea. What now? He asked. I sipped, the sweetness grounding me. I'll take over the dojo, I said. A good life. Logan flicked his cigarette away. We're done here. The plane crash, you'll hear about it. I froze, recalling their plan to fake their deaths, mirroring Emily's past life fate. If you need us, Logan added, you won't find us. I met his gaze, my training keeping me steady. Better we don't meet again, I said. He nodded, resigned. Fair enough. Emily waved, her eyes bright. Take care, Shuyu. They turned, their silhouettes fading against the blossoms. Hours later, news broke. A private plane had crashed, the wreckage catastrophic. The deceased included Ethan Pierce, his parents Logan and Emily Tang. My heart stilled, but I knew better. That morning under the apricot tree, their eyes had been too alive, their steps too sure. They'd escaped just as I had reborn in their way. I smiled through tears, a quiet farewell to allies I'd never see again. The dojo buzzed with new students, my father's laughter echoing as he sparred nearby. The Pierce family's crimes, bribed officials, murdered rivals were history now, their empire dust. Ethan's escape attempt, if true, had ended in flames, but Logan and Emily's survival was my secret. My ear ached less, each day my teaching sharper, my life my own. The cosmic pulse, once a call to fight, now whispered of peace. As I guided a student's kick, I glanced at the apricot tree, its blossoms falling. I was Wen Shuyu, no longer a pawn, but a master of my story.